Welcome back to another episode of Inspiration in Isolation. My name is Ray, and as you know, I am in isolation here in Australia, but I am not alone this morning. I have a very good friend of mine, a brother of mine, also of mine, who is all the way from the United States in Seattle, Rome, Loma. What's up?
How you doing, Ray?
Yeah, good. Yourself? How's things in the States? Like, especially there where you are. Tell us where you are right now, and what's the situation with you guys?
Yeah, we're in Auburn. It's in King County, and it's it's like the south part of New Zealand in terms of the weather. Very cold.
Yeah.
But the people are very warm.
Yeah.
You know, the opportunity to do ministry here is it's huge.
Yeah.
And so we're just blessed to be able to join the pastoral team here. And there's a few churches in the area that are spread out, and they've been doing a lot of ministries within the city of Auburn. And so I'm working at Auburn Adventist Academy Church. And so it's a church that's connected to the academy. I'm the associate pastor here, working with Pastor Wilma Bing and also with Pastor Angel Ogando, and fantastic team. Fantastic
you're
team.
lucky, man. Those two people right there, they're just blessed people.
Man.
Like, they're so good.
Yeah, I'm blessed to learn from these guys, and so I'm just blessed to be here.
Yeah. So Auburn, for those who are listening in, that's in the United States. Which part of the States are you in?
It's in the Washington State, so it's just outside of Seattle.
Okay. Nice. And so clearly, for those who are thinking, no, Rome does not have an American accent because he's not from there.
No. I'm originally from Auckland.
Auckland,
like you, my brother. From New Zealand.
West side.
And, from the west side of New Zealand. In Kelston.
Throw up them Ks for those who are watching.
Yeah. For all the boys out there in Kelston, I'm still holding it down, man.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so we're from there.
Okay, so
I was just gonna say that by 2005 we made our way over to Australia.
Yeah. Because you got an interesting journey, man. Like, we're not going to get too much into it because when Rome and I chat, we can chat for hours. So we've given ourselves around about 45 minutes just to squeeze in as much as we can. But the reason why I wanted to connect with Rome this morning, he's someone, I guess, he is someone of value to me. But also, he's got an interesting journey in terms of physical fitness as well. And that's sort of some of the stuff that I wanted to touch into, especially because now that most people are going to be in isolation, what can they do practically? But not only that, I want to tie it into the spiritual stuff as well, because I think this time and this day and age right now that we're in, there's this real cool synergy between the two, right? I'm still trying to be physically healthy and sane to be able to, stay alert and make sure that things are functioning in your house and you yourself, but also there's a spiritual connection as well. So I wanted to explore that with Rome. So Rome, give us in a nutshell, let's just go straight from New Zealand. What sort of stuff that were you involved in terms of sport and stuff in New Zealand that obviously you're so passionate about? Yeah,
look, I came from a school that bred rugby players.
What school was that?
Boys. Kelston Boys High School. Yeah, they bred rugby players. And so for me, it was difficult for me to get into, to rugby, as, parents had become Adventists. And so they were like, the whole struggle of being an Adventist and trying to, figure out whether you can play on the Sabbath or not. And so, I didn't really get into the idea of sports. I caused a lot of trouble in the streets. And,
that's a whole nother podcast. We're gonna do another version of this.
So I got in trouble in the streets, and so I never really thought about training. The only form of training that we did do was weight training. And so, a lot of the boys in the area did a lot of weight training. We weren't educated in it as well, and so we just did whatever looked right, and during that time. And it wasn't until I came to, we moved to Australia.
Yeah.
And my first year at Avondale in 2008, I met a former powerlifting champion.
Yeah. That's an interesting story, because I want you to touch on that just a little bit before we launch into everything else.
Sure. Everyone was playing rugby at Avondale during that time. They had the sanitarium versus Avondale.
That's right. I remember
they had those games. Then they had touch rugby. Then they had like basketball, and and whatnot. Everyone's trying to, get into something, but I knew I couldn't get into any of those sports. And so I decided that I'd go to the gym and start training there. And it was at the gym at college, what was the name of the gym again, Ray?
Fit Life.
Fit Life. Yeah, it was over at
Yeah.
Fit Life that early hours of the morning, I would go and train there. And, I wanted to go really early because I wanted to go there when nobody was there.
Yeah.
And so, when you're out of shape, you don't want to go when the gym's busy.
Yeah.
Or when you get into shape, once you're in shape, you want to go when it's packed.
You don't want to go when it's packed and you're dying. You're like, trying to bench press something, and people go, "That's an ugly bench."
That's it. Yeah. So I wanted to go early in the morning, and that's when I sorry, there was a call that just came through. Sorry, and so I went back to I went early in the morning, and that's when I met this powerlifting champion who was, I think he was in his late 60s, early 70s, And so I kind of followed him around the gym and watched the way he did things. When I found out he was a powerlifting champion, and he wouldn't train me until weeks, months later. I had to try and convince him. And so when he did, because he's the sort of trainer that says, no, nobody just chooses me. I choose you.
Real Jedi moment right there.
Yeah, that was his mentality. And so we trained together. But one of the things is, I regret it, but it's a bad thing, but a good thing. The bad thing is that we never recorded any of our training sessions together for the 4 or 5 years I was training with him. The good thing is that I learned so much without the camera being there.
Wow.
Learning at his feet. I never knew anything about training. And so while I was training with him, he basically, showed me how to do proper deadlifts, proper squats, bench. He was a bodybuilder as well. And so he had one rule.
Yeah.
No phones.
Wow. And what year was that? What year was that?
That was 2008.
Wow. Okay.
He said no phones. So 2008, 2009, 2010, we were training together, intense training. And I remember just, wanting to pass out so many times training with him. And I would try and give him that look or that face of being fatigued. And hopefully, I'm hoping that he'll give me some sort of grace, mercy. And then he'll put his hand on my back and go, "You okay?" And I go, yeah. And he said, "Because you got one more set left." So he was really militant with his training. But then in 2011, we went into competition.
Now, tell me about that process. Like, was that something that you desired to go into competition, or did he say, if you're going to train with me, you're going to compete?
Well, we never talked about competition when we first started training together.
Right.
He was just pouring into me, like 20 plus years worth of training that he received and education in powerlifting and bodybuilding. And sorry.
That's all right.
Let me just get, calls are just coming through. I just declined it. Sorry. So he poured into me like 20 plus years worth of training, and he was mentoring me at the same time. Like he's like a father to me. Right. And so those first couple of years, 2008, 2009, we never talked anything about competition. But come 2010, I was watching YouTube clips of other powerlifters, and I got into the whole, powerlifting
community.
I became a fan.
You just consumed everything powerlifting.
Yes, and so I was watching the IPF lifters, GPC. I was watching, the guys that were, competing in Capo, and started, interacting with them. And then a competition came up in Newcastle, and so we I came and I had, I don't know, there was something in me that said, tell them you want to compete. And another part of me saying, don't do it. This is going to be embarrassing for you. It's a world that I've never been in. I mean, I don't even know anybody that was a powerlifter, so I don't know where it came from. But near 2010, 2011, I wasn't able to continue my studies at Avondale because we didn't have the money to continue. So I took 2011 off. And so I said to the coach, I've got 2011 off. I want to compete in 2011. And so, while we were training 2010, we had that competition in mind in 2011.
Wow.
And when we had that first competition in Newcastle, I won a gold medal at that Newcastle competition.
What was it like for you? Like going in, not knowing
oh,
anything, like, cause there's some cool little stories around that. Like no one just goes into a competition and go, well, I got a medal. Like when you and I talk, we laugh because so comical, like, you know, people competition prep, they're doing their thing and you're just going, oh, I don't do that stuff to motivate myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, it was the scariest thing, man. It was a scary. I was so nervous.
Yeah.
You know, he was trying like it's two things with him. Number one, it's the training, and number two, it's the food.
Yeah.
And he didn't know much about, you know, the new supplements that were out there, and he wasn't dependent on it.
Okay.
Everything was on the food.
Yeah.
And so he gave me what to eat. And so coming to comp day, you know, I had all these carbohydrates and stuff to kind of fuel me. I was so nervous I couldn't eat properly. And you know what that means for an islander, bro? He must be really nervous if he can't eat, bro. I couldn't eat, bro. That's how nervous I was, man. But when I got there, and you have like, you know, there's three parts to the competition. There's the squat, then there's the bench, and then you finish with the deadlift. And you have like 3 attempts, so that's 9 lifts altogether. And so after that first lift, you know, the people that were applauding, the people that were cheering, you know, I just got excited and pumped, and from then onwards, I was addicted.
Yeah.
You know, I just couldn't, I couldn't wait to get on the platform. I was doing like 20, 30 kilos more than what I'll do in the gym, just on
adrenaline.
You know, the adrenaline, yeah, and people hyping you up and seeing people cheering you on. And one of the things I love about powerlifting is that, you know, nobody boos anybody.
Yeah, that's right. I've been to a powerlifting comp and everyone just supports
everyone
each other.
cheers on everyone, man. And the guys I was competing against at the back, you know, you are competing against some of these guys, but at the same time, there's something inside of you that wants them to do their best. Right? You know, you want them to do their best regardless. And so I was getting, you know, a lot of encouragement from the guys in the back. And so I was encouraging others as they were going onto the platform.
What was that like for you? What was that like for you for guys to come up to you? And because the conversation will now be, you've just done your first lift. So what was it? The squat. You felt good. You're doing lifting more than ever. Has the conversation now turned amongst coaches or whispers or athletes going, who is this guy? Like he's come out of nowhere?
Well, yeah, that was part of the talk as well. There's so many guys saying, oh, because when there's a new face and numbers, people will remember your name based on the numbers that you lift. And so I was coming into my first competition, and, you know, I was doing good numbers for my first competition. And, you know, when I went to the second one, which was held in Sydney, and I did really well there, that I qualified for the nationals.
Okay. Did that surprise you? The question is, I want to know, did that surprise you, or you thought, I trained for this, this is what I prepared for?
To be honest, I was confident because I had a good coach.
Okay.
You know, if I didn't have him there, my strength and ability would have been dictated by my nerves. You know, my nervousness was getting the best of me so many times, but he was able to get into my psyche. He was, you know, somebody that used to speak to my heart as well. He would, you know, often tell me, prep me mentally. And so for me, that became an important element of my ministry, the whole idea of mentoring.
Right.
So he wasn't just a trainer wanting me to do good numbers. He believed that I could do, he believed I could be the best in the world. Wow. And so he talked to me as if I was the best in the world. He encouraged me as, And so every competition I went there with the mentality that I was the best in the world. And so we'd just be talking throughout the whole time. All I needed to do was look over to him, and he would just give me that nod. If I make it or I don't make it, he is the same person to me. You know, he was always an encourager. And so I needed that for it all. So when we did make qualify for the nationals, it was,
what was that like?
Surprised. I was surprised, but then I wasn't surprised because of somebody like him next to me.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because when we got to the nationals, people were more shocked that he was there, you know, because he was.
Why was that?
He was a big name back in the day for IPF.
So this guy's like an OG, like he's one of the main guys, and everyone's like, "What?" Is surprised that he's just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, look, because the equipment that he had, they were from the 60s, the 70s, you know, from the squat suit to the belt. Everything was like from old school labels.
Yeah.
And so when we went to the nationals and we put the squat suit and everything onto the, onto the table for them to examine, they were looking at it and they were saying, "No, sorry, you can't use this stuff. I mean, this stuff is from the 60s. This stuff from the, where did you get the stuff from?" And I kind of shrunk and I looked over to, my coach. And when I mentioned his name, they all were shocked. And so they came around because he left the sport for more than 20 years and he said he would never go back to it. And so after interacting with me and training me up, I was going in it for the first time and he was going back for the first time.
First time. Wow.
In a long time. And so I was privileged and honored to be able to sit at his feet. And we ended up winning the nationals.
What was that like for you? Like, obviously, you have a great mentor, and I want to touch on that a bit soon. But going in preparation, knowing that you put on the hard yards, you've done the hard work, this is the moment. This is the moment. And like you said, your coach is a man of few words. Like most coaches are screaming and yahooing and, making sure that that you can hear them. But you would say that it would just be in the back corner somewhere. Like, how would he interact with you during lifts?
During the lifts, I'll come off the platform. He wouldn't even tell me what I was lifting next, but he would just write the numbers down and look at me and just tell me, "You're going to get this. This is going to be easy. Stick to the game plan. You're going to get it done. You're going to get it done."
He would not tell you what you were lifting.
No, I wouldn't know what I was lifting.
So is that a normal thing for those who are listening who don't know powerlifting, or do you usually know? Okay, I need it.
Most guys know what they're lifting, but this guy's his strategy with me was he wanted to make sure that my mentality was not going to be affected negatively
by a number.
And usually, naturally we tend to fear the unknown, right? And so if you put a number up there that you've never done before, there's two things going on. One, you're going to have to try and lift it, and then second is the feeling or the thoughts that could corrupt your ability to lift. And so he never wanted my feelings or my thoughts to corrupt, my lifting. He had 100%, confidence in my ability to lift. He just said, "Man, the mind just has to make." He was always about the mind, man.
Ahead of his game.
At all times, he always told me, "Hey, listen, when you're lifting, it's not just about the physical. It's also about the mental. I want good mental attitude. I want a healthy mental mindset," is what he used to, say to me during in the corners.
Yeah.
And so I still have that even now. When I train people, I train them with the right technique. Those are important.
Yeah.
But much more important is just having that positive approach. That positive mindset that you're able to do it. I mean, I was training with one of the girls that's in pastoral ministry during a camp. The chaplains all met up at Stewart's Point, and we went and trained. And she was her PB was 60, and she wanted to get 80. And so, short story, we were warming up, and then she goes, I said, "Let's just warm up, and then we'll get ready for your 80." She was targeting 80. Anyways, at the end of the warm up, she goes, "All right, I'm ready for 80." And I said, "You did it in the warm up." I never told her that 80 was on the bar.
Yeah.
We were just warming up, and slowly, we were putting
stuff on
and putting the weights on. And then when she got the 80, she got up, and flew up. She stood back and she was like saying, "Okay, I'm ready for the 80." And we were laughing and saying, "You just did it. That was 80." And she couldn't believe it. And it was really because her mentality, she knew that 60 was conquered.
Yeah.
And whichever gym she goes to at whatever time of the day, she'll always get 60 because her positive mentality says 60 is conquered. I've conquered 60. This time we had 80 there, but she didn't know it was 80. She looked at 80 like she would look at 60. Yeah. So she was lifting 80 like a conquered number.
Yeah, wow.
And she conquered it just from the mentality.
Wow.
80 she looked at 80 like a conquered number.
Yeah.
And
I
lifted
love
it. And
that.
to me, when we approach, anything with the mentality that it's conquered, something just, switches, right? You're no longer fearful, but it's like, it's conquered, it's done. And so now I use that a lot in my training whenever I go to hit a PB. Even though it is a PB, I've never been there, my coach would say, it's conquered, it's done, you've done it. Because you first got to achieve it here before you physically do it. Mentally, you have to be there. And so I was there already, getting ready to go on the platform, last lift, especially for the nationals. I'm pumped, and he's looking at me, and he said, he's telling me, there's no tomorrow room. This is it. Don't look at that number as if you've never done it before. He's conquered. Go out there and do it. And then, brother, we just go out there and do it as if it was a conquered number, and find out at the end it's a PB.
You're like, thanks, coach. Thanks for not telling me. I appreciate you not telling me. That's a good thing. So from being obviously national champion, now you have this under your belt. How had then that transformed the way you do? Like you're basically a pastor now, right? And so how has that helped you in terms of your spiritual fitness, in terms of helping people? Like you've said some key things there. I love mentoring. I love being intentional about the people that are under you or you're training. I love the fact that you said seeing something mentally and that's already conquered. How has that helped you as a pastor, your ministry and your mentoring to others?
When first time I went into to ministry, pastoral ministry, just before going into pastoral ministry, being employed by the North New South Wales Conference, we were in Victoria, and a couple came to our house and said, we want to be able to start a ministry, and we need it, but we don't know how to lead it. But we know you can lead it. So they pretty much they said to us, what do you need to get the ministry started? And we said, oh man, it's going to cost a lot to get people's memberships and then take them to the gym. They said, that's okay. We'll buy the equipment and we'll bring it to your house. And, both Kitty and myself, we were looking at each other thinking, no, we don't want them to buy the equipment and stuff. Because they said, no, don't worry about this. This is God's money. God will do it. We felt like we were convicted that you should start this ministry. Yeah. So anyways, we had a truck backing up, bringing all the equipment there. And then we got a phone call saying that we've just been picked up by the North New South Wales Conference. Oh. And so I said to the couple that they can take the equipment back. And they said, nonsense. That equipment, like I said, cannot be led. That ministry can't be led by us. You need to take the equipment with you. Yeah. And Kitty and I were overwhelmed. We said, we can't take this equipment. It's like thousands of dollars worth of equipment and weights and so forth. And they said, look, wherever you go, remember the ministry. Remember, our communities. Remember those who need, this. It's like, training was exercising is such a huge thing for so many people. Some people are so down, in terms of depression and all sorts of anxieties because they don't feel good about themselves. And so, I never got to see any of that until I started meeting people in the community and realizing that there's a need in that space. And so God has given me a tool to be able to minister in that space. And so I said to them, thank you. And I was thankful to God at the same time. We took the equipment and we went out to Kempsey and Armidale. And wherever we went, we set up the gym, we set up the equipment in the garage. But in our minds, this is not our equipment. This is not ours. This gym belongs to God. Yeah. So we opened it up and we allowed the community to just come. And wherever we've gone, we've created like, a community of lifters where, young kids as young as like, 15, 16 to as old as, mid 60s, 70, coming in and training with us. And we used, powerlifting training as a way to connect with our community. And some of the stories that I would hear, I'm not even talking about God or bringing Jesus into this ministry, but the conversations that we have and the relationships that are built somehow open to it. It leads there. Yeah. Because one, they want to know why you're doing it. Yeah. They say if you're good at something, you should charge.
Yeah.
And then, and then they're saying like, we want to get to know who you are. And they find out that you're a pastor. Then they want to know why, you chose that path. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, through conversation, the opportunity to speak on your faith is presented. And so that's how we've been able to lead so many people, to Christ through using training, in the gym, and using what I've been through. Yeah.
So here's a question. So I'm all about imagery. I'm average Joe, average Jane, whatever that looks like, walking past, and I see a light coming from a garage, and I hear weights thumping, and sometimes every now and again someone's groaning and getting stuff. Like, what does the normal person do when they see? And like you said, does your invitation go, "Hey, you want to come lift," or do people just like look and walk past? How does that work? How do you get them to come in? You're saying you open up to community, but how do they find out on or come and connect with you?
Right. We've used 3 different ways. The first way, whenever I move into an area, whenever Kitty and I move into an area, like we moved into Camp C, Armadale, Newcastle, wherever we move, the first thing that we do is get to know our neighbors. It's the first thing we do. We just go, like once we set up, would knock on our neighbors' doors and just, let them know who we are, that we've moved into the area. We intentionally do that because we want to get to know, our community. And it's beneficial for us too, because there are times when Kitty and I go away on holiday and stuff, and they used to, offer to look after, our pets or look after the house and so forth. So it works both ways for us. We want to get to know them. And then they also end up wanting to help us. And so we end up getting to know the community, and we let them know through word of mouth that, we've got like a setup, and it's free for anybody that would like to come and train. And secondly, when we see the odd person walking past, I'd always say hello. I wouldn't do the whole invitation in the first go. It's like, that's a bit weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll just like wave and say, and wave again. And most people are shocked sometimes because when they walk past, they wouldn't imagine that you would be friendly. I've had people say to me years later after building relationships, they go, "Bro, I remember walking past your house, man, when I first saw you, I didn't even want to wave, bro. I just wanted to look the other way, keep walking. I mean, look at that monster training in the gym." So they want to just keep walking. But, and I would just wave. And the second time I see them, I'll wave again. And then, the more times I see them, I realize they're from this neighborhood. And then I'll just say hello, and start off just saying hi. And then after that, we end up, small talk, and then I'd invite them to come and train. And the third one is we did this for when we were planting a church out in Armadale. We, as a church, we wanted to find out where most people gather. And there was a university there that 25% of the population in Armadale belonged to the New England University. And they had like an open day, and they used to call it Lifesaver Day. And so me and the team would go over there and just put up like a gazebo, and we'll have like a competition, a rowing machine competition. And then we'll give away all these little bags of like goodies, and, with water bottle in it, with an apple. And then inside there are these flyers of some of the ministry that we would offer in the community, especially to university. Like we had the food bank, and we had like, we would prepare dinners on Friday nights for students that didn't have any, dinner on Friday nights, because the dorms used to provide dinner for, every other day except Friday night. And so we'd hit them in that area. We were looking for where we could come in and offer some ministry. And then one of the flyers was free training, come over for powerlifting, training. And we used to, have these medical doctors turn up, they're to training. And one of them was talking to me about, wanting to get strong, get fit. And we trained together for about roughly 7-8 months before he graduated and left. On the last day before he graduated, he came over to my house, and he brought a gift for both Kitty and I, shook my hand and said, "You know what, Rome, I just need you to know something. I was going through a really bad breakup." And he wasn't able to like think, in class, or when he would go home to study, he wasn't able to think. But turning up to training every day of the week for like 5 days a week, turning up to train helped him take his mind away from, you know, some of the things that were going on in his life. And he said that 1 hour a day just, you know, helped him emotionally and mentally get through a lot. And
it just anchored him a lot, anchored him.
Yeah, that's right. He said, bro, I don't think I would be graduating right now or finishing right now had it not been for these 1 hour sessions. So for me, we never got to spend time long enough to kind of lead him to Christ, right? But one thing he does know is I was a Christian, and one, I wasn't interested in trying to like just take him and convert him and that, but I was interested in getting to know him and interested in, and so for me, as he left, some people may interpret that as like, oh man, that's a failure because he wasn't able to baptize him.
A missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity. But for me, I'm thinking, you know what? I would have ruined the opportunity for him to get to know Jesus and ruined the opportunity to get to know him more had I just come straight in strong and hard and was only focused on trying to convert him. But when he left, I did pray saying, God, I took him this far. Yeah. But it's not about an individual. Yeah. Right. It's about the Spirit of God in every person in the church. Somewhere down the line, I can just see God bringing someone else to help him along his journey, and then somebody else to come and help him along his journey, and then all of a sudden, some dude down the line, you know, will be the guy to baptize him, and people don't know the background story, so they're thinking, oh man, this guy got baptized by so and so. And really, at the end of the day, it's not important who baptized them, but who he's baptized to, and the Spirit of God that started from, you know, in a garage.
Let's go.
All the way through to you know. So to me, it's we all play a part somehow. And so even if I spent like 7 months with him, I felt like, you know, I had a positive, you know, impact by just allowing him to get a hint of what it means to be with those who belong to the kingdom.
Yeah, yeah. And so, look, I'm just thinking now, our conversation way earlier before we went online, that you don't, oh, hello. You want to come say hi? No, that's my daughter peeking through the door. You don't have your equipment. And so now, in light of what's happening with COVID and stuff, how are you still making those connections? What does it look like? Because now the world is shutting down. Everything's going online, or does it have to? Like, I don't know. How have you managed that adjustment? Because you're still adjusting to moving there, but now you're adjusting to, okay, what else can I provide in this space?
This is, you know, this is a true story. In 2015, it was 2015, you called me and said to me, you know, can you come and be my speaker down in Christchurch? Yeah. And I was unable to make that. And so 2016, you said, let's try this again. And I believe God was saving me from meeting you earlier in 2015, doing ministry together, because we hadn't seen each other in years.
Yeah, that's right.
You've been ministering in New Zealand, you know, and me in Australia. And so come 2016, dude, I was at a point in my life where I just wanted to quit ministry. No one knew about it. Yeah. I wanted to quit ministry because of so many things that were happening during that time. And so while I was ministering with you, you know, in Christchurch, I was dying on the inside that me and you, when you first said to me, dude, I've got the keys to this gym. We're going to go there. We're going to train. And I remember you and I, we just talked in the car and got inside the gym, and there was no talking.
Yeah, we just split.
Yeah. And I was thinking, is he going through what I'm going through? Like, I was like, I know why I'm not talking, but why is he not talking? And I realized after you and I were sharing during that week that you were going through some challenges. I was going through some challenges. And we were dealing with those challenges differently. Yeah. You were training your way, I was training my way. And at the end, we met together and, you know, we're out of there. Yeah. And I realized that you and I had something, you know, we were similar, you know, in some ways. And so I began to follow your journey, and you jumped on this whole zoo thing, right? Yeah. And secretly, and I'm letting it out the bag right now, secretly, while you were doing it on camera, I'm on the other side trying to practice it, right? Because I was like, this looks ridiculous. It even sounds ridiculous. And so anyways, I was trying it out. And you know, the one that I could never get was the side kicks.
Oh, the kick sits, side to side,
when you were doing it, I was like, this is ridiculous. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to ask Ray how to do it properly. He might think, are you doing Zoom? You know, let's do Zoom together. And I was like, no. I wanted to secretly try and get my mind around it, which is kind of funny because when I went to preach at certain places, certain venues that didn't have gyms, that's where that zoo came in for me.
Let's go, yeah.
You know, because for me, I reject, you know, Zumba, and I reject all these, you know, aerobics type of training. I don't want to have anything to do with it. But zoo, it was almost like weight training, you know, body weight training. And so I said, you know what, maybe that's like halfway between aerobics and lifting weights.
It's still manly. It's still manly.
It's still manly. So, so I used it whenever I went places. I was doing the frogs, I was doing the explosives, and I was doing the, you know, the chameleons, and I was doing all these different movements for myself, just to stay in shape. And no one knew. And there's some people that probably thought, oh, he probably had a gym in that area. No gyms. So now that we don't have any gyms, what we've done is I've taken, you know, the training that you've been doing and used that in a way that we could still stay in shape by using body weight exercises. And so we've been doing that both in the church, and then we're in lockdown mode. And so we're doing it just outside of our dorms and still trying to maintain it, because for me, you know, it's training helps me, you know, concentrate. It helps me spiritually as well, to be able to concentrate as well when I'm reading, and it helps me to stay in shape. And so I don't want to fall away. And so even without the equipment there, I don't want to use that as an excuse, because I know the benefits of training. So right now, it's not important whether it's zoo. I'm not trying to say that everybody should be doing zoo.
No, I get you.
For me,
I get you.
For me, it's like whatever works for you. You know, but the most important thing is be active and stay in shape. You know, I've been locked up in cells before. You know what I mean?
That's a whole other podcast. I'm telling you guys, there's another podcast coming after this.
And you know, you're in isolation, you know, in a jail cell. And what do? You know, you want to stay in shape. And so the same sort of mentality. And so right now, you know, during this lockdown period, both Kitty and I and some of the other couples in the area as well are still trying to, like, while we're, you know, keeping the social distancing thing going on, we're still trying to maintain some form of exercise routine just to, you know, stay in shape.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And I know that your wife as well, I know she's mentioned a few times in our conversation, but she's also part of that fitness ministry for you guys. And so how's that been for her? Like, at what point did she jump off her couch and go, well, I'm going to do it too?
Yeah. I think it all started for her in 2015, the first year we went into ministry.
Okay.
And for her, it was the first time she was ever, like, unemployed.
Yeah.
She's been working since she was like 13, 14 years old. And so for her, it was a struggle for her not to go to work. And so when both of us went into ministry, like I was the one that was out there, and she would be at home with the family, with the kids. And so she decided that she wanted to, you know, stay in shape and start working out. And so she surprised me because she used to be the one outside of the gym or outside of the garage, or the one texting and calling me like, when are you finishing? When are you coming home?
Hurry
How long
up.
is it going to take? You know, hurry up. And then all of a sudden the text message wasn't, when are you finishing? It was like, can I join you?
Wow.
And so, yeah, she came and joined me. So 2015 and 16, we were both training together, and she started seeing the benefits of training, you know, for her mentally as well, and physically. And so we started training together, and there were other women in the ministry, people that we're ministering to, that wanted to train, and so felt more comfortable training with Kitty.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think it was a God thing for her to jump on. The thing with both Kitty and I is we're still learning. You know, we're still learning how to do this right. We're still trying to, you know, sit at the feet of those who still, you know, at the top of their game in training. So I'm keeping in close contact with those who, you know, professional athletes in this area. And so I'm constantly being mentored as well, at the same time as I'm mentoring others. Yeah. And then there are those, you know, like Kitty, who, you know, I bounce off. Both of us are just like continuously trying to formulate, you know, different types of workouts and different types of programs to be able to, you know, minister to those who we have interacted with in the churches that we've been in and the communities that we've had the privilege of living in.
Man, that's so awesome. And I think there's so much lessons that we can learn from just, not just mentoring, but also how to still be connected with people outside your community. And given
Yes, sir.
the circumstances that we are in at the moment, there's gives us every reason still to reach out and connect. And obviously, if you can't work out in person, perhaps we do the social distancing thing. So there's many ways that we can do it. And what I love what you're saying is there's a strong correlation between your physical fitness and your spiritual fitness, and
yes,
it goes
absolutely.
hand in hand. One last question, I guess, if there is something that you would like to share of a word of encouragement for someone like myself who's in isolation, how what would that word of encouragement be? What's the one thing that you want them to know in this period that all of us are in?
For me, like I said early on, mentoring is a huge thing. Yeah. And so the three things that I always talk about with mentoring is, number one, be mentored. Yeah. Never get to a point in your life where you think you know it all. Yeah. Use whatever resources you have to be mentored. Go on YouTube, go on Twitter, go find people that are doing it. Don't be shy and discouraged by and even think, oh, they would never talk to me, or they would never give me a chance. Yeah. You never know. There's some people that are mentoring me right now. I would never think that they would have. I mean, I would never have thought in my wildest dreams they'll be mentoring me, because for me, I'm like, these guys are, big stars. They will never have time for me. Lo and behold, God provides the opportunities. Yeah. And so,
and I love that. Can I just, so on that point, before you go on to point 2 or 3, like, it's sometimes intimidating for people to go, oh, I don't know who mentor me, but that's just a reflection on your own insecurities and doubts. And that's so true. my philosophy is, my philosophy has always been, who's doing it better than me? Yeah. I want to learn from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be afraid to say that I need to learn. So I'm not going to be shy away from an opportunity to learn from a person who I think is better than me. That person may not even know, but I'm already putting this expectation, this wall between me and the person I want to ask. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm not going to grow. So I don't need a mentor. I just do it myself.
Yeah.
Someone
Absolutely.
ahead of you that you can say you admire. It doesn't have to be, it could be anyone. Anyone. Some people think you have to have someone who's much older than you to be a mentor. Man, some of the ones that mentor me are some young adults and youth who are killing it on the social media game. Like they're killing it on the social media game. I'm like, I message them. I'm like, how did you do that? Yeah. And just last night I was in conversation with another girl. I think it's on Waymaker. That's the Instagram. And she's like, do you know you can shorten your YouTube links when you post it on your thing so it doesn't have the whole link? I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. But again, for me, I'm not afraid to ask for help and for me to be better. And so that's, I just wanted to add that point to number 1.
Yeah. Fortune favors the bold. Yeah. My father used to say to me, when I first was about to go into ministry, my dad used to say in Psalm 1, he would say, ole ma, ole me valea. Being shameful is a foolish thing, and so, don't be afraid to ask, as you said. And it's also, it helps you be humble as well, to just, hey, you don't know everything. Go and ask. Find out on social media who's doing it and who's out there. Instead of hating on them, instead of hating
and you try and do one better than them, and like,
right.
Why would you
go and ask? Ask and connect. The second thing is like, find someone you're equal, someone that, Jesus said go in twos, right? Yeah. And I always think that 2 was meant for, iron sharpens iron. Yeah. They're your equal. Man, like I said, that story in 2015, that first year of ministry, I wanted to resign, bro. Yeah. But in 2016, when you and I had that moment of heart, 1 week I was ministering to others while you were ministering to me. Yeah. It was powerful, man. Both of us were just like, iron sharpens iron. Have those who are your equal that you can just call up, that you can just meet up with, and bounce off each other and bounce ideas off each other. Never criticizing each other destructively, but are always there to like uplift each other and to, you know, hold each other accountable. And the last one is really what it's you should be mentoring somebody. You should take somebody, whether it's your son, whether it's your daughter, whether it's you know, work colleague, have somebody to mentor, offer some, you know, they have something to offer or something to give back to your community. And when you're giving, like, don't give and hold back the future of our world and the future of our ministry. The future is dependent on the tools and everything that we hand off to the next generation, rather than being critical and saying, oh man, I can't believe we're going to hand the world over to these young guys. They're going to destroy it. Like, ask yourself, what have you contributed to them? What have you, you know, what have you given them? You know, because it gives you responsibility as well. And the funny thing is when you're mentoring these ones, you end up defending them from those who are criticizing them too. It's like, hey guys, I'm mentoring these guys and we're doing our best to be able to hand over to the next. My mentor who said to me one time, and I'll never forget it, he said to me, you and I, you know, we're not done until you're better than me. And I looked at him and I said, are you kidding me? There's no way in the world you're going to be better than me. And then he said, well, then that's a reflection of my leadership. And I was like, what? And he said, by the way, I don't own that mentality. That's actually Jesus. He told his disciples, don't marvel at these things. You'll do greater works. So for me, being a mentor is to make the next person better than you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the glory that we receive, but the glory of the kingdom. Because this is what kingdom's all about. It's about, you know, being humble, having something to offer, and, you know, just being there, doing life with people. And that's how I see it. I follow what you do, Ray. I see the people that you're doing life with inspires me.
Same, vice versa. Vice versa. Like you said, iron sharpens iron. Like, Rome's doing something different. I'm listening, I take that. I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to apply it in my context. And it's never about, I'm going to take what Rome does and I'm going to duplicate it. And so I can sound like Rome, so I can get the same follows. For us, we understand there's this mutual understanding. It's like, take whatever you need and use it.
Take what you need.
Like, man, I'll use whatever it takes. Like you say, you take whatever clips you see of me. I take whatever clips or information you share. I'm like, I'm going to use that to benefit others, to bless others.
Yeah. I mean, the whole idea, I mean, when you reached out to me and said, hey, Rome, I need you to wear my t-shirt, you know, so I want to send some your way, bro, so we can collab. Man, I jumped at it. You know, I jumped at it because, you know, I want to support what you do. I want to be there to be a part of it. And look what it's become, you know. It's, you know, the whole Huguso movement is so huge right now with so many people knowing about what it is. I feel proud that, you know, I was like right there to, you know, to be that brother to support wherever.
Right from the very start.
People come up with creative ways to be able to reach people and minister and do ministry. And so, bro, you know, I'm still watching you even now, still following you, so that every time we talk, we got, this is why I said, you know, you and I, we can talk for days because, you know, we speak the same language. There are people, Ray, that you reach that I can only dream of reaching.
And exactly the same. That's exactly the same.
And so why would you think that, you know, for a second that it's about competition, that it's like, you know, you're the Superman that's going to reach everybody? Sorry, buddy. There are some people, you know, that Kitty and Chantal, you know, Shani will, you know, Kitty and Shani will meet, that will be able to reach, that you and I can only dream of reaching. But the awesome thing is that we all come together and empower and encourage each other and you know, and allow the Holy Spirit to do the work.
That's so true, man. I'm just feeling, again, inspired while I'm in isolation, but more so now, just to be a bit more intentional. And I love those 3 points, you know, in terms of mentoring. Be mentored. Have someone who's a colleague who you can mentor, like, you know, iron sharpens iron, and then mentor someone else. And I think those 3 things are super important. I think particularly now, because, you know, everyone's trying to operate on scarcity and going, oh, I need to grab it for myself. You know, it's like this panic shopping mentality. I need to grab it so I can hold that stuff for myself. It's like, share it. If you have something to provide the world, like in terms of a physical resource or something like this, let it be a blessing to others, because all of us are enduring the same sort of, you know, anxiety and panic and fear. So why not instill more hope and positivity into the world? So thank you
Exactly.
again, Rome. Man,
No,
it's
thank
always
you,
a
man.
pleasure. Like I said, for those who are listening and watching, we could go on for another hour, but our wives
Oh,
will be
man.
like, it's
Days.
time to look after your family.
Oh, man. Exactly. Exactly. Now, I'm thankful that you reached out and look, you know, we're doing this interview at the same time. We're also catching up in the process.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's happening.
Thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, awesome.
Appreciate
Well,
so
thank you again, bro. And so for anyone who's watching, don't forget to share this video, share this podcast, share the link. And I'm sure we just want this to be an inspiration, a blessing to others, that we can help each other through this COVID-19. So thank you again, Rome. Farewell
Thank you,
to
my
everyone
brother.
else. We'll catch you in the next episode.